Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Monday, February 17. Canada will be playing in the big game in the final on Thursday, February 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern, a game that will take place in Boston versus Team USA. It's going to be round 2 after USA took round 1 on Saturday night. As this podcast is going on right now, USA is playing Sweden. In all transparency, I have recorded this podcast right before the USA versus Sweden game, all right? Because it doesn't really matter what happens in the game. We know that USA is going to be in the final on Thursday, and we know that Canada is going to be in the final as well, all right? Just so you know, by the way, that on Thursday night, when Canada does play USA, I'm going to go live immediately after the game. So the podcast that usually starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, if the game ends at 10:45 p.m. Eastern, I'm going on at 10:45. If it ends at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern, I'm going on at 11 o'clock. All right? Okay, now you know. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also, looking for the ultimate entertainment experience? Playground. Look no further than Playground. From thrilling gaming and world-class poker to exquisite dining, live music, and electrifying DJs. I was there on the weekend. As a matter of fact, they had a special tribute show to ABBA. It was fantastic, and the food at the Etc. restaurant was unbelievable. Playground has it all, delivered with unmatched customer service, conveniently located just minutes from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. Why settle for anything less when you can have it all at Playground, your top destination for nonstop fun? Visit playground.ca for details. Without further ado, from Global TV Montreal, Brian Wilde, how are you?
Well, Tony, I was having a relaxed time sitting on the couch. There was not much going on. And then I thought, okay, we're going to just calmly ease our way into the final here. And then suddenly I was pacing around the house. But I'm fine now.
For those who didn't have a chance to watch it, but I would imagine pretty much everyone watching us right now, I would imagine did. Canada got off to a very comfortable 4-0 lead after just 25 minutes and 3 seconds into the game. In period number 3, Finland scored 3 goals in a span of 5 minutes and 24 seconds, 2 of which came within 23 seconds to narrow Canada's 4-0 lead to 4-3 until Sidney Crosby ended up sealing the deal with an empty net goal. And Crosby, by the way, Brian, bounces back after a really, really bad game on Saturday night in which he did not have a shot on net. He was -2 on the night on Saturday. He turned the puck over on what ended up being the game-winning goal of the hockey game scored by Dylan Larkin. And today, Sidney Crosby did what Sidney Crosby has done his entire career. And that's bounce back after a bad game. 1 goal, 1 assist. He was +3 on the afternoon.
Yeah, +3 as well. I mean, he was a force, and I really like the line changes that Jon Cooper made that helped Crosby and McDavid as well. Because, he obviously has that chemistry with Nathan McKinnon, both Nova Scotia boys, and you can see that they look for each other beautifully on the ice. And they didn't get it going against the United States in terms of goals and assists. But, I mean, I didn't think he was standout bad, but it wasn't the usual Sidney Crosby. So it was great to see him revert back to the usual Sidney Crosby. Because, man, if nobody was going to put in that empty netter, they were going to tie it.
I love Montreal Canadiens fans, Brian, as I know, so do you. Mm-hmm. But they have to stop with, Canadiens got to go out and get Sidney Crosby. And if Sidney Crosby chooses to leave Pittsburgh, the team that drafted him, developed him, where he won 3 Stanley Cups. If he's gonna decide to leave Pittsburgh, he's not gonna leave it for another team that is not gonna make the playoffs or is gonna struggle to make the playoffs. After this season, he has 2 years left on his contract. That contract that he extended, and I think I can say this. Let's be honest here. If Sidney Crosby ever decides to leave Pittsburgh Penguins, please trade him to Colorado. Like let him play with his buddy McKinnon. Let's go. Yeah,
absolutely. And that would be a pretty wild 3. The only thing I could think would be better is if Connor McDavid got traded to Colorado and he could play with McKinnon and Cale Makar, because that would be pretty fun to watch. And that's what's been so great about the tournament, is how much fun it's been to watch and assess these guys on the world stage playing best on best to see who shines. Like, for example, Connor McDavid's the best player in the National Hockey League, and he's still the best player in the world in this tournament. Nathan McKinnon's pretty close to the best, and he's still the best. And then conversely, you have, just to pick a name out, you've got Mitch Marner, who I think is top 5 in the league in scoring, and he's not even close to top 5 in this tournament. So it's really fun to watch who excels in a best on best and whose game falls down notches when it's best on best and they don't get to cut their way through weaker opposition. It's fun. I love it.
So you talked about Marner, who was the hero in Game 1 for Canada in the overtime winner versus Sweden. Marner has a reputation of, when the going gets tough, he's not the most difficult guy in the world to play against, right? Everyone knows he's a fantastic talent. Everyone knows that he's an elite point producer. But until he's able to, and ironically, he actually has decent numbers, I think, in the playoffs, but there's some knocks on him. Marner last game and the first 2 games was on a line with Connor McDavid and Sam Reinhart. They weren't able to generate much.
Connor was by himself.
Connor was, because he was a one-man show for the first 2 games. The highlights, he was doing it himself. Reinhart on Saturday night was very bad. Marner on Saturday night was very bad. And Jon Cooper makes line changes, and he ends up putting Mark Stone, who was with Crosby and McKinnon. He puts him with McDavid, and he also puts on that line Braden Point, who was centering previously a third line for Canada. And those 3 players played really well together. McDavid scored a goal today. Reinhart had 3 assists. They played really, really well together. Crosby, McKinnon, and Reinhart formed the line, and they played really well together. 2 points for Crosby, 2 points for McKinnon, 3 points for Reinhart. Brian?
Yeah, what I loved on the line with McDavid was Braden Point and the way he with the energy he brought to the game, and also his ability to keep cycles going on behalf of McDavid. There were so many instances where Point was bringing a cycle, he was doing down low work, and he was doing it off the half wall, and he was really hard to take off the puck. You didn't, a small guy like Point, you don't think he's going to be that hard to take off the puck, but he was nearly impossible to take off the puck. And while he was doing that, McDavid was doing his own set of circles, keeping open, looking for spaces, trying to find dead zones. And I thought they were just fantastic together. And I thought that was brilliance from Cooper to recognize that Point could bring it offensively, because I think and I did before the tournament started, you would sort of think Marner is sort of like Point, right? Not too ultra physical, lot of stick skill, little on the small side. You know what I mean? So you think they bring the same games, but Point in this tournament has been fantastic. And he was a great compliment for Connor McDavid. And Marner, not at all strong in the tournament, and not at all a good compliment for McDavid. So it's kind of bizarre how it works sometimes. And occasionally you don't know how it's going to go until you try it. You just have some gut about it, instinct. And I credit Jon Cooper for finding nice combinations. And I'm going to guess they keep the same combinations for Thursday.
I would be willing to bet on that, Brian. And for me, there's a couple of things that I like about Braden Point and Braden Point on that line. Number one, I'm not so sure that anybody can skate with Connor, but Braden Point can skate with Connor, if you get my drift. Number two, Braden Point is a centerman, so which Mitch Marner is not. He's a very, very smart hockey player, over 200 feet. Connor is a centerman, but if Connor wants to take offensive liberties, I think Braden Point will be able to cover for him. Number three, Connor McDavid sees the game and plays the game at such a high speed and sees it at that speed probably better than anyone else in the world. Braden Point sees the game very well, and I think he could read some of the things that Connor's reading. So they're probably more on the same page than Connor was with his previous line mates. So I really like that. And what I like about the Crosby, McKinnon, and Reinhart line is that McKinnon can shoot the puck, Reinhart can shoot the puck, and Sidney Crosby can pass the puck. So there's a lot of things I liked about the new lines. Listen, they end up scoring 5 goals tonight in a win. I get it. They were playing Finland, and they weren't playing, USSR of 1970, of 1987 or whatever. But there's a lot to like about these new lines, and there was a lot to like about Cale Makar making his way back in the lineup because he played a ton today. Again, you could tell that they missed him badly on Saturday.
Well, with that partnership, Taves and Makar, I think what you found with it is that it just felt like there was nothing going to bad happen when they were out there. Both of them together, they just have this understanding of each other and an understanding how to play safe. And it just felt like when those two are out there, I said, this is going to be safe right now. This is going to feel good. There's going to be no danger.
Yeah, I thought Taves struggled without Makar on Saturday night, to tell you the truth.
Exactly, but with him, he was a better player. I thought on Saturday, the guy that just blew my mind was Harley.
Thomas Harley. He was amazing.
Come in and, think that you're on vacation in Mexico or wherever he probably was. And then suddenly he's called in and he plays as well as he did. And he's 22 or 23. I mean, wow, the future of this guy is unbelievable. Check his plus minus while you hit some keys there too. I believe he's plus 26, plus 36, something extraordinary for that team. I mean, he's a hell of a young hockey player. What a bright future he has. And, great drafting again.
Plus 26. He was plus 28 a year ago. Brian, you know what? It's going to be.
And look where they got him. Look where they got him.
Yeah, they got him 18th overall. It's going to be pretty powerful. What I'm going to say here, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
So let's understand each other. The reason why Harley was brought up to play, is because he was going to be taking over for Makar. Makar's a right-handed defenseman. Harley's a right-handed defenseman. Okay? So Makar gets back in the lineup. Harley's out. They're not going to do this, okay?
But you wish they would.
But I wish they would play Thomas Harley over Drew Doughty on Thursday.
What about really?
Well, because
not over the Flyer defenseman?
Sanheim, but Sanheim's a left shot.
Yeah.
So I think they want to get Harley in their right shot.
Okay.
Yeah. But listen,
you don't want anybody playing on their wrong side.
No, but ideally not. Now, if you're going to ask me, do I like Harley over Sanheim? Oh yeah, I do. I like Harley over Sanheim. Yes.
Right. I don't know. I can't tell you I'm wise enough to know if Harley can play wrong-sided. I mean, it's not as big a deal as it used to be back in the day. But yeah, it would be. But you haven't liked Doughty, eh? I haven't minded Doughty.
He's been okay, but I loved Harley.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you 100% on that. I can't believe his age. We don't watch him enough.
Yeah.
I don't watch that time zone enough. Because I was absolutely floored. I could not believe how good he was.
Because
this is going to be one of the best defensemen at 27 in the league.
Because once again,
if he's not already,
the left-handed defensemen are Devin Taves.
Yeah.
Is Travis Sanheim.
Yeah.
And Josh Morrissey. And on the right side, you have Cale Makar, you have Colton Parayko, and you have Drew Doughty.
Good.
Yeah. And the other guy, the seventh guy there is Harley, who's a right-handed defenseman. So if you're going to put in a right, you're going to take out a right. And
right.
I you know what? Parayko's a big guy, right? And they're going to be playing against a team that's going to crash the net and go to the net.
That's right.
On Thursday night. So I think he's got to stay in the lineup. But look, I get it. With the wealth of experience that Drew Doughty has, he could end up being the best defenseman for Canada on Thursday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's that.
You don't know.
He's that good and that smart and that experienced.
What I like, though, where I think Harley is superior to Sanheim is just the decision making of Harley just blew me away on Saturday night. It was just such expert. I mean, the time and space that you have in this event is, like, compared to the NHL, is next to none. And that's why sometimes you get guys that are able to still do all of their excellent things with so much less, 20-30% less time and space. And then some get that 20% taken from them and their game falls apart. Well, Harley seemed to even excel more getting that 20% taken away from him.
1,000%. And I would be shocked if he's not on the Olympic team representing Canada next year.
I would be shocked too. I just thought it was just an extraordinary performance and not luck at all. He had 1,000 decisions to make in that night, and he made all 1,000 of them.
He is really good. And we're going to talk about even Saturday night's loss versus the Americans and by a score of 3-1 in today's 5-3 win over Finland in just about a minute or two. Not before I talk to you about Bittt Tibi. They've launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for chilly winter days. Only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in packs of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province. Quebec. It's ultra light and ultra refreshing. And by the way, we're also going to talk to you about Montreal Canadiens players playing in this tournament, 2 of which played today, Yoel Armia and Patrik Laine, in just a second. Also brought to you in part by Accent Insurance Solutions. You know, all insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you at Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money. Whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business, take down this number, 514-363-3636. Visit their website, www.accentassurance.com. I want to go back to Saturday's loss versus the States, because of course here we are on Monday night. We haven't had a chance to talk about Saturday's game yet because we're fresh off of Canada's 5-3 win over Finland. I have an opinion that I would imagine not a lot of people are going to share about Saturday's loss, but I just want you to hear me out. Everyone loved the 3 fights in the first 9 seconds, even those who are saying take fighting out of the game, like yours truly. I never said take fighting out of the game because I didn't enjoy hockey fights. I have since I'm a kid, and I will continue to enjoy them. I simply said it because of the safety of the players, everything we know about CTE and the side effects and post-career complications and all that stuff. Listen, some players have died young, suffering with depression, anxiety, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. They've taken their lives. It's been sad. So that's the reason why I've always had that stance. But we saw on Saturday night that it is part of the game and that everyone was standing. The Tkachuk brothers, they had this all mapped out in their head. Brady even talked about it at the end of the game, that they had a group chat going, and they wanted to start something. Yeah, everyone knew that they were going to try and start something. Like, for example, I don't even think Matthew Tkachuk won his fight. I'm not saying he lost it, but I don't think he won it. But yet, he was going crazy in the penalty box, and it's as if, you know, he had just won by TKO type of thing. They wanted to do that to show the fans, the team, the world, everyone, we're here to play, we're here to fight, we're here to lead. It's going to be a battle, it's going to be a war, it's going to be this, and this is their way of pumping up their teammates. I know everyone loved it. Yeah. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you cannot back down in that moment. I'm not so sure Canada should have fought, because those guys wanted that so badly. You actually gave them what they wanted. They dictated it, and you succumbed. I said, okay, no problem. Well, we'll give it to you. But if they didn't give it to them, they may have lost their heads. They probably would have taken 2 penalties apiece. They probably would have been off their game, because they would have said, we need to get our team going here. And the plan we had in our head to get our team going, they're not biting. So what do we do next? And they probably would have lost anyway, Brian. But do you understand my point?
I do 100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's sort of like you're trying to suggest, and I think effectively, that whatever one team wants to do, don't give it to them, because emotionally and psychologically, you've given them a victory that you shouldn't give them.
I think so. And
Don't-
I would
don't give
imagine right
anybody
now,
a victory
Brian,
that they
I
want
would
that
imagine
badly.
right now there's people on the chat line that are saying, oh, okay, well, you're wrong, because Connor McDavid scored the first goal of the hockey game, so it's not like he scored on a great individual
No, but that message
effort.
lasted 60 minutes. That
Correct.
message didn't last until the first goal. The
Correct.
message they were trying to make: we are here
Spot
to
on.
fight. We are here to not be intimidated by the city of Montreal and the Bell Center crowd all against us. We are here to not be intimidated by our anthem being booed. We are here to not be intimidated.
Yeah.
That message lasted an entire game.
Yeah. All right. So I thought Binnington was shaky on Saturday. The first goal was a terrible goal to give up, even though it was Devin Taves who got his pocket picked by Jack Eichel. Sam Reinhart was playing defense, wasn't used to it, and he gave too much time and space to Gensel. And Gensel has beat guys 5-hole before, but I thought Binnington had to stop that. The second goal, fully aware that it's a bad giveaway from Sidney Crosby. JT Miller gets his stick in the way. Boldy intercepts it. It's a one-touch pass to Dylan Larkin, who goes back the other way on a 2-on-1. It's a very good shot just above the pad under the blocker. There's something about making big saves in big moments when your team absolutely needs them. I don't think Binnington did it in overtime of game one. I thought the first two goals he should have had. He redeemed himself with his overtime. I thought he definitely should have had the first goal in game two. The second goal, it can go 50-50. I get it. Today, Binnington on 3 goals. I think one was a bad one. I think the first one was a 50-50. Good shot. Probably could have stopped it. The third goal by Granlund, his second of the game, was a great shot. No chance there. He needs to stop Granlund's first goal, which made it 4-2. I thought that was a really bad goal. A lot of people in Canada were wondering if Canada was going to go with a goalie change going into the game. They did not. They went with Binnington, who once again wins today, but he gives up 3 goals on 26 shots. I think it's, can we say that is it safe to say that that Jordan Binnington will play on Thursday night, that at this point, if they haven't gone to Adin Hill, chances are they won't?
I think it's 100% has to be that. I mean, you can't tell a goaltender who hasn't played the whole event that now you're going to play it and it's the final. They won't do it. They just won't do it. There are too many question marks, even though they may not love what they're seeing from Jordan Binnington. And I certainly don't like what I'm seeing from him. They cannot enter that final giving everyone a mystery, including their own players.
Yeah.
They can't tell these players too, we're going with a mystery. We're going with a guy we have no clue whether he can handle this moment. We know what Binnington can do in handling this moment, and it may not be outstanding, but they know exactly what they're getting.
I wonder what.
And therefore, they need to be better than the United States.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
Binnington was good up until the point where they started giving him shots. You know,
that'll happen.
That'll happen. Brian, I wonder what Cassidy must think about this, right? He's the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. He won a Stanley Cup with Adin Hill 2 years ago. You know, you would have to think that he probably wants to get his goaltender in there because he knows what he's all about.
Sure.
And I don't know this for a fact, you know, I really don't. But from the outside, let's be honest, and it looks like this to everyone, that it's because of Doug Armstrong, the team's GM, and the St. Louis Blues goalie coach, who's Hockey Canada's goalie coach. You get the feeling that this is their call and not Cooper's and not Cassidy's and not Tockett's. I don't know that for a fact. It looks that way from the outside, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And like if they were going to make the move, and I'm going to agree with you definitely on the assessment of the goaltending on Saturday night. And I'm just going to pick that one stat out: goals saved above expected. The expected goals allowed for Canada that night was, I looked with 10 minutes left in the game, it was like 1.1. And the expected goals allowed for the United States was 3.3. So Canada was playing them 3.3 to 1.1 and was down in the game 2-1. So Hellebuck was supposed to have let 3 goals in at that moment, and he had let in only 1. And Binnington was supposed to have let in only 1 and let in 2. So based on just the expectations that, you know, the algorithm figures out in terms of quality of shot, where it's being taken, the power behind it, and the heat map of the entire event. It should have been a 3-1 game for Canada. If the goaltenders behaved how the computer would say assessing their shots, they should have behaved.
Yeah.
And Binnington let in 2. Frankly, I think he could have stopped both shots. And the one that Hellebuyck let in, no goaltender in the world is going to stop that backhand to the roof, in 0.01 seconds. That was unbelievable, that backhand.
Yeah.
And the rest, he stood on his head, Hellebuyck.
I predicted the States to win this tournament from the beginning. I thought that they were going to win on Saturday night. I know the Finland coach said today after the game that he thinks that the United States will win it. But man, do I hope that I'm going to be wrong. I have to tell you, and I hope that Canada wins 5-0 on Thursday night. I will say this. You know what I'm confident about from a Canada perspective? I'm confident that Jordan Binnington's due for a good game. No, but he's due for. Listen, Brian.
Why?
But what am I getting? Look, so I've heard, he stinks, and I may have even said it in frustration. Like, nobody stinks that's in the National Hockey League. Like, right? Let's forget about that right away. Okay, this guy didn't win a Stanley Cup by fluke. I know a lot of people are saying he won a Stanley Cup because he had a really good team, and you know what? He did have a deep team. But you know what? There's something that a lot of people aren't talking about, and maybe they will between now and Thursday night. On Thursday night, Jordan Binnington is going to play arguably the second most important game of his life.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
With the first most important game being Game 7 of the 2019 Stanley Cup Finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where did he play that game, and where did he win it?
In Boston. Yeah.
So he can play under pressure.
Yeah, and he's got a good memory of the building. One game,
winner take all, because that's what 2019 was. It came down to Game 7.
And that's why they don't change the goalie.
And it was a one-game winner take all. So, look, the States are really good. They got a huge advantage in goal, in my opinion. I believe they have a big advantage on defense as well. I thought Slavin and Faber together were unbelievable. I thought McAvoy was incredible as well. Who did not play tonight. But I think Canada can win 2 ways. Number one, their best players have to win them the game. Crosby, McKinnon, McDavid. They got to win them the game if they're going to win. And still, it might not be enough, and or they will need Binnington. So either Binnington has to win them the game, Crosby, McDavid, and McKinnon have to win them the game, or all 4 of them have to win them the game. That's the only way I can see it happening. Not that, it would be a shock if Braden Point or Brad Marchand would score a hat trick and Canada would win. They're obviously elite players, and Marchand knows how to win in that building too.
Yeah,
I can't wait. Thursday night.
It's going to be outside.
Can you imagine what the ratings are going to be on Thursday night?
In Canada, I'm going to say probably at one point or another is how they do it, whether the TV was turned on at all or streamed at all during the 3-hour block. I would say it'll come in around 11 million.
I think 4.5 million Americans watched the game on Saturday night in Montreal, and that's not counting streaming.
4.4 million Americans watched the game on Saturday night in Montreal?
Yes.
I didn't know that. What? 4.4?
Yeah, I read that somewhere today. Yeah, I'll try and find it for you. And that's not counting. That's counting streaming.
That's a massive number for hockey.
That's a big number. Yeah.
The NHL gets like 700,000 tops now.
Yeah.
That's a massive number.
It is
massive number.
Yeah, it is a massive.
I didn't hear the Canadian numbers, but I'd say it's going to be 1 in 4 Canadians that will be watching at least a portion of that game. I'm going with 10 million, 12 million, somewhere in there. That wouldn't surprise me at all. I think the record is like the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, right? I think it's around 18 million, if I'm not wrong. I shouldn't guess like this, but I think I'm pretty close to right there. Before the tournament began, I said that I thought, I heard your prediction that you thought Americans would win. I said to you before the tournament began right here on the Sick podcast that I thought Canada would win, but I prefaced it with they're going to need a save. And so my opinion hasn't changed at all. I think Canada can be the better team, but they're going to need a save.
On that note,
because the other guy's going to save a lot.
Yeah. Let's hear from, do we have Jon Cooper's pregame speech?
For your country. Play for the guy sitting in this room. That's all you got to do. All right? And let's let everything unfold the way it is. It's all the little moments that will create one big, huge moment. That's why we're here. All right? Let's go make our country proud, boys. Come on.
Short and sweet, eh?
I liked it.
Play for the guy beside you, and I would imagine he's saving his biggest speech for Thursday night. On that
I don't think you need a speech on Thursday.
On beating the Americans, here's Nathan McKinnon.
Last thing we wanted to do was go home today or tomorrow, whatever. So, whoever we're playing in the finals, obviously it's going to be the Americans. We'd love to play them again. We feel like we could beat those guys, and we plan on playing a little better Thursday.
We feel like we can beat those guys. We plan on playing a little better on Thursday. I can't wait for this game. Brian, I mentioned earlier today on the radio, and I think you always have solid opinions, but I think you're really going to be strong on this one. There's only one thing I don't like about this tournament. Only one.
Okay.
It's the timing of the tournament with everything that's going on between Canada and USA.
Yeah.
It comes at a very difficult moment for Canada. And I know that you're hardly on X, formerly known as Twitter, anymore. And I'm still on it, but I have to tell you that in the last week, I've actually said earlier today that I'm going to spend very, very little time on it for the next couple of days. And I was discussing this with a friend of mine on the weekend. And after the Saturday game versus the States, and on Sunday, X was filled with so many tweets of Canada, you suck, and you want to Canada this and Canada that. It's become personal to a lot of people. It's not even about hockey anymore. So I love this tourney. I've underestimated it. The quality is so much more than I thought it would have been. I'm so much more invested than I thought I would have been. I thought I wasn't going to care for this tournament. And now, I've been thinking about it all day, saying, should I go to Boston on Thursday? And, there's too many, there's a lot of things in my way. I got to host a radio show on Thursday morning at 9:55 a.m. I have a TV hit on Thursday night at 5:30 p.m. I'm going to have a podcast on Thursday night at around 11 p.m. On Friday night, on Friday morning, I'm going to be hosting the radio show again at 9:55 a.m. I'm going to have my TV hit at 5:30 p.m. I'm going to be emceeing an event at 7 p.m. I don't know if it would have been nice to have a private jet, let me tell you that. But the only thing I don't like about this tournament is the timing of it all, with everything that's happened in the last month between Canada and USA.
But we can't do anything about that. I mean,
I just have a feeling there's going to be, it could get ugly. In that building on Thursday night.
It could, but you have to keep living, right? I mean, you can't say, okay, we're going to cancel that, we're going to cancel this, and we're not going to play that or play this. You have to keep going, and that's what we're doing. I am 61 years of age in 4 months. And for the first 61 years and 2 months of my life, I never had to think of my country being annexed. So this is a bizarre time in an older man's life compared to a lot of people that are listening right now. You get used to a certain thing. And one of the things that you were always used to was that America was your friend, and that you could always rely on America, that they were there for you, that they protected you, that they took care of you, that they were the military might that you could not afford. And in return, what we gave them was our resources, and we had fair trade deals that would have us always have a partnership, that we loved each other. And to be a part of something now where you feel as if led by someone who's not the whole country, but half the country, but he did just win an election, and he didn't win the election as a stranger. He won the election as a known man, not hiding anything that he was. So to have it turn from all of that to this is really hard to take, because it's like being cheated on. You had so much faith, and now you don't know where it's gone. And it's just starting. We're only in the nation stage of the chapters that this could have in our lives. And for that to be part and parcel of a hockey tournament, and to have the players being asked, Tony, what do you think of the booing? With no follow-up question, with no idea if they have any idea why we as Canadians are booing. Because we're scared out of our fucking minds, Tony, that we will no longer be a country inside 4 years, but a 51st state, as he likes to joke. So for the reporters that we rely on to be intelligent and frame things in such a manner that we as watchers and listeners feel as if they're framing it so the right question is asked, then the right follow-up is asked, so we can have faith that they understand what's going on and not have it as simple as, oh, they're booing us, let's hate them. But, oh, why are they booing us? And I would love to hear the reporters say, not just, what do you think of them booing you, but saying, do you know why they're booing you? That's the question to ask Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa, playing for the Senators. Do you know why you're being booed suddenly after being in that city for so many years and not hearing a single boo? And if you do know why, are you okay with it? Do you think it's really funny and cool that Canada should be the 51st state?
Yeah. I don't think he would
Those
answer.
are some of the...
I don't think he would answer. They would answer either question. But anyway, once again, it's a great tourney. It's been a great tourney. The two best teams are going to play in the final. And I'll tell you what I love about the tourney now that I told you what I don't like about the tourney. You know what I really love about the tourney? The points and the overtime. The 3 points for regulation
Oh, my God, yes. Why are we not doing that?
The 2 points for a win in extra time, and the 1 point for a loss in the shootout, and the 0 points for a loss in regulation, and a 10-minute overtime. I don't know why we're not doing that. I love these rules. I love.
Why? You know.
By the way, just so if people don't know, on Thursday night, if the game goes to overtime, unlike the first 3 games here, where it was a 10-minute overtime, and if there's no winner, it would go to a shootout. Just so you know, on Thursday night, once they go to overtime, there's no shootout. It's golden goal. If the overtime takes 3 hours, it takes 3 hours. If it takes 7 minutes, it takes 7 minutes. All right. So.
Yeah. When you look at the 3 points, 2 points, 1 points, I heard that the counterpoint on that was, well, it will ruin all of the historical numbers of best season. How many points did you get?
I don't care.
That was already ruined long ago when you added a point for losing.
Correct.
So
I don't care.
It's a completely irrelevant point. That changed ages ago. So let's do it right. It is more valuable to win a game without going to overtime. 3 points for the victory, 2 for the overtime. And
so why is it good? Why is it good? Let's make it simple for people to understand. If you win a game in the National Hockey League, you get 2 points.
Right.
If you win it in overtime, you still get the same 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams, for whatever reason, start trapping and tightening up and playing tighter in the last 5 minutes of a tie hockey game in the regular season. Now they're going to say, I can go get that extra point. They're going to open up the machine.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw the tweet from the former assistant general manager of the Florida Panthers earlier today. Did you see it?
No, I did not.
I talked about it on the radio, and a lot of people shrugged it off, saying this is crazy. But I think it was, listen, the fact that it came from a former NHL GM, I think it's something that we have to talk about. And that is, I'm trying to find his name. His name is Steve Werrier, if I can pronounce that correctly, Werrier. He's the former GM of the Florida Panthers. What he said was earlier today, and we don't have to worry about that because Canada won. But in a long story short, what he said was he wondered if the two teams were tied because both could advance to Thursday's final, or either could advance to Thursday's final with a win in regulation. And what he threw out there was, I wonder if both teams are tied with a minute left in the game, if they both cooperate and pull their goalies.
Exactly.
So somebody wins the game in regulation and somebody makes it to the final.
Absolutely.
We'll never know.
And you know what they do in soccer, of course. They just make sure that all of the games in the same pool or grouping, so none of that collusion happens or difficulty happens. They all start the games at the exact same time, which is what they should have done in this tournament. But, you know, you don't want to because it's such a short tournament. You want to have two games at the same time. But the reason that the NHL doesn't go 3-2-1-0 is pretty obvious. They want the season to stay close.
Yeah.
There'd be big gaps between teams. There'd be big gaps.
You're absolutely right. So it could be more entertaining games.
Yeah.
But the last month might not be. The games won't be as important.
Exactly. In the last month, you've got only 2 teams vying for that last playoff spot instead of 6 or 7 that have hung around because there was not such a 3-2-1-0 gap.
All right. Let's talk about Sidney Crosby and Jordan Binnington, and we're also going to talk about Montreal Canadiens, Yoel Armia, and Patrik Laine. But before we do, if you want to get into some action now for Thursday night between Canada and USA, go all the way Betway and get a free bet up to $200. If your first bet loses, scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years of age and older, and please play responsibly. All right. On Jon Cooper's decision to play Jordan Binnington.
Not difficult at all. Listen, the kid's played great for us. He's given us a chance to win. And ultimately, you know, in the NHL, it's like if you can limit an opponent to 2 goals or less in a game, it should give you a chance to win. And he's done that for us. He did it for us the other night. And, you know, it was lack of goal scoring that hurt us, but I think the one thing that's underappreciated about Jordan is his gamemanship and his ability to play the puck. And if you look at him in all our clean breakouts and exits the other night, he was the one who started it. And hence why he had a point in the game, because he's the one that starts the McDavid breakaway. And so there's so many more aspects to the game. But he gives us a chance to win. You know, he's given us a chance to win the last 2 nights. Our games, and unfortunately it didn't happen, but we got to give him a little run support.
All right, okay. Jon Cooper's not wrong, not all wrong there. Jordan Binnington plays the puck better than the 3 goalies Canada have. No doubt about it. If you only give up 2 goals, you have a really good chance of winning the hockey game. Binnington gave up 3 in game 1, he gave up 3 in game 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it's no longer 2 goals. He gave up 2 goals versus the States. Yes, they scored the third one an empty netter, but right. But he gave up 3 goals versus Sweden.
Yeah.
He gave up 3 goals today versus Finland.
Yeah. So you need 4. 4 is a big number.
And Jon Cooper said, you know, he gives us a chance to win. Yeah, he's also putting you in a spot to lose, though. I could be wrong. Only Jon Cooper. Well, all the coaches know. I think there's a big Doug Armstrong influence on that one. But
we get what we get at this point. It's as simple as that. They're not going to another goalie at this point. And I think
he's due for a big game. I think he's due for a big game.
Well, you know, I'm going to refer to goals saved above expected again. And, you know, like tops in the league is Hellebuck, and I think it's like 36 goals saved above expected. And Logan Thompson, sadly, I think is 2nd or 3rd, and he could have been somebody you relied on. Believe it or not, the best of the 3 goalies on the team in goals saved above expected, which is the best stat out there right now in terms of understanding who's actually stealing goals and stealing games, is Montembeault. Higher than even Hill, and Binnington is actually the worst out of the all of the goalies. He's a negative, in fact, this season. So if he's due for a big game, you know, I hope you're right. But statistically, he's not had a big game season.
All right. Okay. Once again, Brian and I have pre-recorded this podcast right before the USA versus Sweden game. So we don't know what the result will be in that game, nor does it really matter because, of course, we already know the final on Thursday is going to be USA versus Canada. What we also know is that Jake Ottinger's in goal instead of Connor Hellebuck. Jake Sanderson's on defense instead of Charlie McAvoy. And Matthew Tkachuk will not be in the lineup for Team USA, and Chris Kreider will be in the lineup for Team USA. All right. Okay. So once again, we're pre-recording this. Let's talk about Patrik Laine and Joel Armia, two Montreal Canadiens players in this tournament. Montembeault is also in it, but he hasn't played, nor do we think he will. Obviously, at this point, there's one game left, let's be honest, unless something crazy happens over the next couple of days here.
Injuries somehow, practicing.
Yeah. What do you think of Armia, who played 2 of 3 games for Finland? The 2 games that he played, his team lost. He averaged just over 10 minutes in those 2 games. He did not pick up a point. And Patrik Laine, who played in all 3 games, he averaged just over 15 minutes, and he picked up 3 assists in 3 games. Your thoughts on their performances? Let's start with Armia.
Well, Armia just gave us exactly what you expect from him. He wasn't going to shine against the best players in the world offensively. You were just going to hope that he managed his own end well enough and took care of the puck when he had the opportunities. And for what I was able to watch of him, I would say I didn't notice him all that much. And that's Joel Armia at that level. He's just doesn't have the offensive skill set or the speed or anything to bring it at that level. He's a useful hockey player, the NHL, but at this level, it's just bigger than him. It's as simple as that.
100% right. It's just
bigger than him, and that's okay.
That's good enough to play at this level. That's okay.
Exactly, but a great NHLer. Put him in the right slot, which I think he's with on the Canadiens right now. He's in the right slot. He gets the right type of matchups for the Canadiens. Gets 4th line matchups, sometimes 3rd line matchups. He does really well with the tools that he has. He put him in against these guys, and it's just a little too much.
Shane, do we have with the Finland? By the way, Austin Matthews also not playing for Team USA. Do we have what the Finland coach said about Patrik Laine? I think he was pretty okay and solid during this tournament. So okay and solid. I think what he's trying to say is he
didn't hurt me.
He didn't hurt me. He was okay in 2 games, and he was solid in that win versus Sweden.
Yeah, I was actually pretty impressed because, obviously his last games with the Canadiens weren't much, and he was struggling to find, I think, line mates, frankly, that he meshes with. I don't think he meshes with Doc at all, to be honest. And then he came here, and I thought he did all right. He did pretty well. He I think everybody could worry about the speed that he was going to bring to the game, right? Because sometimes he looks like he's loping, but I didn't think there were really any issues. There was the odd time where I felt like his decision making was a little bit slow, led to him being stolen of the puck. But offensively, he found himself in the right spots to unleash the shot. He made a really nice move on one of the Finland goals where everybody thought he would shoot because he's a shooter, and instead I think he went back to maybe Granlund there, who fired it home. And I thought that was a super intelligent play. I think that was the 2nd Finnish goal. So I thought he was pretty good. I was impressed, and he did a lot better than I thought he was going to do, to be honest. What did you think, by the way?
Yeah, you know what? I thought that it was going to be too fast for him, and he was going to look out of place. Yeah. He didn't look out of place. But once again, Patrik Laine have a hard time scoring 5-on-5, even with other line mates and even with elite players around them. He did not score 5-on-5 in this tournament, nor did he score on the power play for that matter. He did not
but
score.
You know what? So. But you know what? I'm going to make a point here that I haven't heard anybody make. I thought a lot of the Finnish players that we were expecting quite a lot from didn't really have the elite skills at that level. Like, where was Aho? Like, Aho was expected a lot of Aho, and he really had a tough tournament. He was not operating at a fast enough speed in that tournament.
I have an opinion on this.
Granlund was the best player for Finland.
Yeah, Granlund was very good for Finland, but I do have an opinion on this, and my opinion is they didn't have much on the back end. They didn't have much forward. They didn't have much on the back end, and they were a team that was weak on paper too. So a lot of times you're playing catch up, and the transition game is so important, right?
Yeah.
And they're not getting the puck out of their zone very quick, and they're not getting it on the tape very much, and they're not flying through the neutral zone when they're getting it. So I thought it was difficult in that respect. Anyway,
well, they were missing, top 3 defensemen in the entire world. That's a pretty big loss.
Drew Doughty on potentially dropping the gloves with Matthew Tkachuk on Thursday. Says to Paul Bissonnette on TNT. He was asked about it by Paul Bissonnette on TNT, and Doughty smiles, he laughs, and he's missing his teeth in the front, obviously there, and he basically says, "I'll do anything for my country."
Oh,
there
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to come to that, though. I'd be surprised if there are fights. But I mean, come on, like the excitement and anticipation for this game. When's the last time you were that excited for a hockey game?
So I'm really excited, and like you, I don't believe there will be fights to start the game. But I will say this:
during,
if Canada are up 5-2 with 3 minutes left in the game,
wow.
I don't think they're going to go down without a fight or 2 or 3.
Is that right? Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think they're going to stick to hockey. I think it's just too important. But I mean, I would have never have guessed there were going to be 3 fights in 9 seconds in the last game. But I think they're going to not want to make the air. Like, if an official thinks that the fighting's getting out of hand or there could be trouble ahead, what the obvious thing you do is you give a guy 7 and the other guy 5.
Yeah.
And that pretty much stops the next fight. Like, and if official doesn't want fights, but I did hear they were mic'd and the Kachucks were coming up to him and say, "Hey, what you think of that?" And they were like, "This is awesome."
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I was like, "What?" I was really surprised the rest was saying that.
And Brady's like, "Yeah, it kind of happened organically." And then later he tells members of the media they were on a group chat and they were telling each other
that's organic.
That they were going to go after. Yeah,
he may not know what the word organic means. It wouldn't surprise me.
Thanks a lot, man. Always a good time talking to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Pleasure.
All right, from one Brian to another. I'm going to be with Quizmaster Brian on Wednesday, February 19. It's a Habs trivia night. Join me and Quizmaster Brian. I won't be doing any trivia, by the way, but he will. He is the Habs guru when it comes to that stuff. Test your Montreal Canadiens knowledge with Quizmaster Brian. La Belle et la Boeuf, 1275 Avenue des Canadiens de Montréal. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. The trivia begins at 7:30 p.m. It's $35 per ticket. Includes entry to the quiz and a choice of 3 burgers. Trivia teams can be up to 4 players. Get all the information, of course, in our link on all of our platforms on social media, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, or you name it. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you liked it, leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. For Shane Gaumont and Master Control, I'm Marinaro. I'll be back tomorrow night, same time, same place, The Sick Podcast. Go Canada, go. Canada, USA, Thursday night. Talk to you tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBie.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.